All right, so today we're going to deal with some popular verses. It's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And I'm going to read them to you. You've probably memorized them, or at least you've probably heard these before, but I kind of want to talk about it in maybe a different way than what we're used to. So Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path." So a lot of times we want to put those on a coffee mug, or we want that to be our life verses. But for it to be our life verses, or for us to put in a coffee mug, is easy because it sounds great, right? Like the last phrase, "and he shall direct thy paths." That's kind of what we claim. We just have this we have this feeling or this idea that if we just claim this promise that God's going to direct our paths, but we skip out on the prior parts of the verse. In verse 5, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." The idea of trust there doesn't have just the idea of salvation. Obviously, we want to trust in the Lord. That's where we put our faith and trust for salvation. But then after that, how do we go through everyday life? Where do we put our trust? Do we put our trust in our own decision-making abilities? Do we put our trust in our strength? Do we put our trust in our intellectual capabilities? Do we put our trust in our spouse? Do we put our trust in our parents, our school, or our friends? Where do we put our trust? Because Proverbs 3:5 says to trust in the Lord with all your heart. Not with some, not with a little portion of it, but with all your heart. So when situations arise, do you truly trust in the Lord? Is he the one you turn to? Is he the one you look to? That's what this verse is saying. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding, because sometimes our understanding doesn't line up with what God's doing. Sometimes we just don't understand what God is doing. So we trust in him with all of our heart, even when we don't understand, because if we lean on our own understanding, then we won't trust. So if we're going to trust, then we can't lean on our own understanding, because it won't always line up with what God is doing. And then he goes on to say in verse 6, "In all your ways acknowledge him." In all your ways acknowledge him. Acknowledge him has the idea of, as Pastor John preached on Sunday, giving preeminence to, giving priority to him. So in all of your ways and everything that you do, acknowledge him. And then it goes on to say, "and he shall direct thy paths." Here's the point. Here's the purpose of everything that he's saying in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. God will direct your path, but only if you make him first. You have to trust in him and not lean under your understanding. You have to acknowledge him or give him preeminence in all of your ways, and then he will direct your path. So before you choose that friend, are you trusting in the Lord, and does God have priority in your relationship? That boyfriend, that girlfriend, does God have priority? That job that you're trying to get, does God have priority? In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Where are you supposed to go to college? Hey, don't worry about "he shall direct thy path" until you've worried about trusting in the Lord first, and then not leaning under your own understanding, and then in all your ways acknowledging him, and then you can claim the promise, hey, now he's going to direct my path. So the challenge today is this: make Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 your life verse, because it means you're going to be trusting in him. It means you're going to be not leaning on your own understanding, and it means you're going to acknowledge him or give him preeminence in all of your ways.